So, hi guys. In this video, I wanted to cover perhaps the logic behind something I came across in uh, my thinking and my reading today, and it's the concept of libertarian socialism. Right. So the very term seems uh, contradictory, I guess, and there are on the surface the term libertarian socialism uh, does seem somewhat contradictory, but it's actually a coherent and non-contradictory political philosophy and economic philosophy. And the idea is this: what specific logic would lead someone to taking a position and identifying as a libertarian socialist and advocating for libertarian socialism? And I think that the logic that might guide one to holding this particular political philosophy and economic philosophy is simple, even while on the surface, the very term libertarian socialism seems contradictory. And the logic that might lead someone to an advocacy for this particular political philosophy is this: inherently, socialists have an aversion to monopolies and monopolies of power, especially when certain corporations or businesses corner a market, monopolize the market, and um, can therefore act without the can therefore, I suppose, act too freely, too authoritatively, too influentially, um, to mistreat laborers and to skew prices and to manipulate their advantage, to use their advantage to manipulate the market in their favor in ways that are contradictory to human good. And I think that this is and I think that this socialist aversion to the very notion of a monopoly is what causes someone to identify as perhaps leaning in the direction of identifying as a socialist in the first place, is not is being against corporate rule in some way. On the other hand, libertarian socialists, I think, are quite intelligent because even while the political philosophy seems inherently contradictory, they recognize that a monopoly of power vested in government is no better than a monopoly of power vested in business. And I think that's the key there. And so they recognize that there are inherent dangers in any kind of a monopoly of power, vested, whether it's vested in business or whether it's vested in government. Right? They're inherently distrustful of these types of monopolies of power. Incidentally, libertarian socialists end up being very anarchist as well because of this distrust of monopolies. And so I think that this is the logic that leads one to identify in this way. And this may be the basis of this particular political philosophy, is this general distrust of monopoly, whether it's vested in government or business. And so if we look at the term libertarian socialism, the libertarian component of that term represents the distrust of monopolies in government. And the socialism component of that term represents the distrust of monopolies in business. And I think that this is what leads one to identify as a libertarian socialist, and this is the basis of the political and economic philosophy of libertarian socialism. Even while it seems contradictory on the surface, it ends up being logically reconcilable. So this is a very interesting point, and a very interesting topic that hopefully will spark some insights as to how viewers may identify politically or how they would orient themselves in terms of their political philosophy, whether they're experimenting with maybe committing to a different one or simply flirting with other philosophies or other schools of political and economic philosophical thought. So again, even while libertarian socialism as a general term seems contradictory on the surface, it actually is reconcilable logically and philosophically. The logic that would lead one to become a libertarian socialist is the attitude rather of being against monopolies of power, whether they're vested in business or in government. They have just an inherent distrust of monopolies of power in general. Thank you for watching.